Okay, so a few days late talking about the latest episode of Survivor. The first thing I want to say is I am devastated. Couldn't quite get the pun out with a straight face. But yes, losing Devins and Suri in the same episode right before the finale, that is a devastating outcome, and I hate to see it. But, number one, that's just Survivor. I'm going to lose players that I like, especially in a season like 50. It's just the nature of the beast. But I'm so, you get the idea. I'm really happy that I had not one, not three, but 2 eliminations in a row where there were no twists. There was no bullshit. There was no, here's a celebrity that got involved, whether it was their idea or they're just putting their name on it, and these are the ramifications it had, or the ramifications it very easily could have had, and thank goodness it didn't. I've talked about it several times. I want to watch Survivor. I don't want to watch Mario Party. And being able to watch a double boot that was Survivor and not Mario Party was just nice. I appreciated that. Now, would these boots have still happened, but for the double tribal last week? And like the split that I really hated? I don't know. Honestly, I don't think so. I don't think Ozzy would have went the way he did if he was around Suri. It was still an unforced error by him and really, really dumb. But also, anyways, I don't really want to get into all that. The moment where Devins in that tribal was just talking about the stars and how it feels, he's like, that it's my favorite part of playing Survivor. Like, I just love being out here and looking up at the stars. And when you see a shooting star, it feels like someone up there is looking out for you and is like saying, I got you. Like, I just thought that was beautiful. I absolutely loved that. Rizzo telling Suri, is like, okay, I did vote out Ozzy. This is why. This is what happened. And her response is, if I thought he had more than 2 brain cells, I wouldn't have worked with him. But like, what? Why would you do any of that? It was really funny and honestly kind of cathartic at the same time. But Joe wins at the first immunity. Devins ends up going home. So in a way, like, you know, Joe kind of gets his comeuppance on Devins, I suppose. But it's also not even really portrayed as that happening. It's just kind of like, yeah, this guy's the threat. He played a shot in the dark. It didn't work. He ends up going, oh well. But another thing we saw is people on the tribe really not liking Rizzo. And part of that is the whole, like, he has an idol. Everyone knows he has it. And he still hasn't played it. And we're just kind of letting him keep it. Well, and it's Tiff in particular, like, I don't like that. And I completely understand. I'm with her on that one. I say it's something. Rizzo has grown on me a lot this season. But I completely understand that we're getting really late in the game. Why are we just letting him keep it? Why don't we vote him out? And if he plays it, okay, like, we flush it and get rid of someone else. But also, you had people talking about how, you know, Rizzo just got taken on reward to eat some food when he had food at the auction that he didn't eat. Why are we rewarding that? Like, people are getting mad at him, and then you got Aubrey in the corner going, people don't necessarily like Rizzo. And that is something that we have seen throughout what we've kind of seen throughout the season is people's first impression of him as, I don't really like this guy. You know, Colby's talking about how lazy he is, how this dude, like, the most movement he does is when he moves his mouth to talk. And then Suri's just like, Riz God, and then rolls her eyes. But then you also see both of them not too long after going, no, I really like this kid. I really like talking to him. This is someone that I do want to work with. And Aubrey is saying, if people don't like him, if people here that are going to be on the jury soon find him annoying, they don't want to be around him. He's also really young, so they might not want to give him $2 million. Like, he's very new to our Survivor community. Maybe they don't want him to get the $2 million. That's exactly who I want to sit with. Because I need to be thinking about, how do I get to the end, and how do I make sure I'm sitting next to the right people? because that's the mistake I made before. So if no one here really likes Rizzo, you're good with me. And I'm not gonna lie, whether that's true or not, I like seeing someone say that. I'm identifying you as an easy beat. Let me make sure I'm sitting next to you at the end. But after Devins is gone, Tiff is the next threat because everyone says, like, here's the thing. Tiff is super likable. She's good in challenges, which is good on your resume. She hasn't really made any enemies. Maybe we got to get rid of her. So everyone essentially teams up in the immunity challenge to beat her. And it reminded me of Maria in 46. Except this was not successful, and Tiff wins immunity because Jonathan and Joe don't know how to spell inconceivable, which was really funny. And Aubrey's like, I spent way too much time trying to help them instead of just winning it on my own, so that's my bad. But there went my plan of getting rid of Tiff. Well, I don't want it to be me, and it can't be Tiff. And I want to keep Rizzo around. He's saying he's going to play his idol, whether he does or not. Joe and Jonathan, I'm not going to get the numbers to really get rid of that. It's got to be Cirie. Because Cirie is a problem. Cirie is a threat. She is too good at this game. And we all know if we sit next to her, she wins. There was a really funny bit earlier before the challenge when Jonathan and Joe are talking to Rizzo after talking to Aubrey. Like, okay, the plan is to vote out Tiff. You can't tell Cirie because we think they're close. And he's like, cool, not going to do it. So, of course, he tells Cirie because they're super tight. And Tilla's like, hey, you're not supposed to know. I didn't tell you this. And then, but Cirie asks him, wait, so if that's the plan, what happens if Tiff wins immunity? I don't know. What do you mean you don't know? Like, that was really funny. But that ended up coming to fruition of like, okay, so this is what happens. Well, I know this information. And I'm not going to tell you that Rizzo told me and throw him under the bus because that's my guy. But I'm going to tell you Aubrey told me because that's believable because everyone thinks she's super shady. And Aubrey's talking to Rizzo like, hey, I think it's time for Cirie. And then Rizzo goes, yeah, it is. I'm genuinely not opposed to that. I love her. She's great. She's been a phenomenal ally. But I know I'm not beating her. And again, it kind of reminds me of that confessional that Aubrey had a few episodes ago of you won't win 50 making the mistakes that cost you a previous run. And that's been very much framed as her winning. And I'm going to make sure I don't make the same mistakes I made in Co-Wrong. I'm going to make sure that I'm sitting next to the right people, that I don't just kind of coast at the end, that I am making a push. Like it was her that really got rid of Ozzy. Jonathan is taking credit for it, and he definitely played a part. But Aubrey's the one that really got that ball rolling. It was Aubrey who was first saying, we got to go after Cirie. Whether that's, again, what actually happened on the island or not, that's how it's being presented, as she is the one making these late game moves, making sure the threats that she doesn't want to sit with are gone, and the goats she wants to sit next to are still around. But as someone who watched 49, Rizzo's... It's hard to say what cost Rizzo because he didn't get to the end. It was just he lost fire. Oops. And one of his big inabilities was Jesse was someone who was really not good in challenges. But we see that Rizzo was like, I am loyal to my trio. I am loyal to my girls. I know that I would have a really hard time beating Savannah, but I kind of just refuse to cut her, even though I could. And here we see he's like, okay, Ozzy's dead weight at this point. I'm just going to cut him. Cirie is the opposite of dead weight. She's just going to win if I sit next to her. I got to cut her. So while it's more subtle than Aubrey, we do to a degree see him sort of learning from that mistake as well. And again, while we've seen some people be very annoyed with him, we've also seen how much people seem to really like Rizzo and want to work with Rizzo. So if he does make it to the end, I could see a situation where he wins. I think Aubrey might have the better chance because I think her comment of, For all intents and purposes, I'm more ingratiated in the community than he is, and I don't know how much we really want to reward more of an outsider and unknown commodity on this season, which is really sad if that is what costs Rizzo. But if that's not an issue, I could see him taking it. I think Joe has no chance. I think, okay, so we have 5. So it's those 2, Joe, and then Jonathan and Tiff. They've talked about how Tiff is a threat because, you know, like, having immunity wins always looks good. She's someone that's very likable. That's also good. I think, at least from what we've been shown in terms of the edit, it looks like Tiff does have a good social game. Her strategic game isn't the best, which we really saw in that conversation with Suri, where essentially Tiff is like, what do you mean they're going to go for you? Who's going to go for you? And Suri's like, girl, what are you talking about? Everyone that's not us 2 is going to vote for me tonight unless we do something about it. That's what's going to happen. So I could see... I don't know if I quite see Tiff winning, but I could see her maybe winning some votes. But I don't think they're going to let her get to the end. Jonathan is interesting because I think he has played a very good game. There are moves that he can say is like, this is something I did, or like, these are targets I had and I got rid of them. I was able to get rid of them more or less when I wanted. Like Ozzy around afterwards, but D, like, I got her out when I wanted to get her out. He's been able to not take the heat for a lot of these moves, which on the one hand is really good and just like really impressive social maneuvering. You could also see it as a, yeah, he's not taking the heat for it because no one's really taking him seriously. And even Cerise's like, yeah, Jonathan's, I don't want to say easy to manipulate, but he's easy to manipulate. Which, if that's the reputation you have in Final 6, that might have been in Final 7. Also, I'm sorry, there was that bit where I just remember when Ceri and Jonathan are in the hammock and it falls. That was so freaking funny. But that's not a great reputation to have. And that could be something that costs him. Because while Aubrey has this reputation of like, oh, she's playing the middle, she's very shifty, no one can trust her, that also kind of ties into the, she's a good player and is smart and adaptable. You don't want to let someone like that win. Whereas Jonathan seems to be, yeah, he's kind of an unga bunga dude that thinks he's doing a lot better than he is, whether that is accurate or not. And is that everyone? Yeah, I think that's everyone left. So we'll see what happens in the finale. I am looking forward to it. I hope it's not super twist heavy, but we'll see what happens. I will say, I personally think I would prefer a vote for Final 4 because we haven't seen that in years. And I don't think it staying with Fire or it moving to a vote would count as like a huge crazy twist. I think that's completely fair game. Anything else I want to say that I wrote down? Oh yeah, just the fact that Sia is bringing back her like favorite player of the season, and that is a vote that is being left to the fans, and I think that's super neat. Like, I know I've been very critical of a lot of the celebrities throwing their name around this season. I was like, no, Sia has been here for a long time. Like, this is an actual, genuine, true Survivor fan. I know that. I know that's not bullshit. And is specifically making it about the players. That's great. I love that. And the fact that it's a fan vote, I think is super neat. My guess is it's probably going to go to Suri or Devins. Maybe not. I could definitely see Christian as well. But I think Suri or Devins will probably end up taking it. But I think that's about it. So I will, in terms of Survivor videos, I'll see you Wednesday after the finale.